There's been a lot of rumors circulating around the various cameos that were in Deadpool and Wolverine, and this video will contain spoilers on those cameos, but at this point, I don't know how you can not be aware of them because they're all over social media if you haven't seen the movie yet. Plus, the movie's made like $1 billion, so I'm pretty sure if you want to see it, you've seen it at this point. But one of those big cameos and the rumors that people are talking about is Henry Cavill as Wolverine, because some people were floating the idea that maybe this was Marvel just kind of gauging the audience reaction to Henry Cavill in the part. And it seemed to be pretty positive, and I think a lot of people are receptive to having Henry Cavill play Wolverine moving forward, because even though in the movie they made the joke that Hugh Jackman's going to be doing it till he's 90, realistically, he's going to have to step aside at some point. And if Marvel wants to have the X-Men and Wolverine moving forward, then this might not be a bad approach to pass the torch on to someone else who could actually embody the role. Maybe not as good as Hugh Jackman, because that's a tough act to follow on this one, but I think he can do a good job in kind of a different take on Wolverine. But let's look at this article from that Park Place. It's kind of talking about these rumors. A new rumor claims that Henry Cavill is in talks to play Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe moving forward, following his cameo as the Cavillrine in Deadpool and Wolverine. And I do like how he's actually credited as Cavillrine, because that's just something Ryan Reynolds thought of when they pitched the idea about having Henry Cavill play Wolverine in that. In his cameo, Deadpool approaches him from behind as he's working on his motorcycle. When he turns around, Deadpool exclaims, "The Cavillrine, the legends are true. And may I say, sir, on behalf of all humanity, this just feels right." Clearly kind of a meta joke, because a lot of people were saying before this movie came out that Henry Cavill would be a good replacement for Wolverine. But here's the clip below. It's just 29 seconds.
Okay, we're talking. Oh, yeah. That's the whole goddamn package right there. You know, from behind, you look a little bit like Henry. Oh my fuck! The Cavillrine. The legends are true. And may I say, sir, on behalf of all humanity, this just feels right. We will treat you so much better than those shitfucks down the street. You were just leaving. No, sir. Not while the fate of my universe is in.
Okay, I do like how he cocks his hands like he does in Mission Impossible. They even point that out in this article. Cavill also recently shared a photo from the scene and took a shot at DC editing out his Mission Impossible mustache while doing reshoots for Justice League. He wrote, "To be safe, I shaved the mustache off for this one, just the mustache." Yeah, that's a pretty good one. I don't necessarily know that's taking a shot. It's just kind of calling back to something that was kind of funny. Following this cameo, Cavill's Instagram post, Matt McCollum at Comic Book News reports that his Marvel insiders have informed him that Cavill might be up to play the character full-time in the MCU. He added, "Henry Cavill actually might be in talks to play the MCU Wolverine. I hear similar to what he wanted for a return as Superman. He is asking a lot of money to play Wolverine." And that is kind of the big thing here. It's like the studio might be looking like, well, is it really worth it to give you a lot of money? Because even though Henry Cavill is popular amongst fans, he's not necessarily a huge box office draw. At least a lot of his major movies haven't really had a great return outside of the stuff that he's done with DC. Those, like him or hate him, those movies for DC that he did were profitable for the studio. So I don't know, the Marvel might think like, okay, Henry Cavill's good in superhero movies, so let's make him as Wolverine, especially since a lot of people seem to want him in the role. But I mean, if he's asking for too much money, they might just think like, okay, well, he's just not worth it, even if he would be a good fit. So they might try to move on to someone else, or maybe not have Wolverine in the MCU moving forward. And that's another approach that some people are speculating could be what Marvel's going to be doing. But let's continue on with this one, and I'll get on that in a moment. Marvel studio boss Kevin Feige addressed the status of Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe ahead of the release of Deadpool and Wolverine, discussing films. You know, Marvel is celebrating its 85th anniversary later this summer. That's just the first 85 years, and Disney just celebrated 100 years as well. I think these characters will be around for another 100 years, long after all of us. So for sure, there will eventually be another actor as Wolverine. He said, "I think it will be a very different style and in a different way. I also think if somebody were to attempt to do a Hugh Jackman as Wolverine impression, that would be a pretty big mistake." Feige did go on to say, too, that they have no immediate plans to replace Hugh Jackman. He just floats the idea that eventually they will inevitably have to replace him if they move forward. But for the time being, they want to try to move forward with Hugh Jackman in the role. Now, whether Hugh Jackman will actually continue on with the role remains to be seen, but Kevin Feige believes if they are going to have a different actor playing Wolverine, then they have to have a different version of Wolverine, in order for it to feel somewhat fresh, so it doesn't just really invite that comparison between the new actor, whoever that may be, and Hugh Jackman, because you never want to have that. If you're just doing a different version of it, though, then people can have that kind of separation in there. Again, we don't have immediate plans by any means. That's what Kevin Feige emphasized when he's talking about replacing Hugh Jackman or having a new Wolverine. But in the decades to come, I think it's inevitable. If that happens, it would have to be a very different and bold reinterpretation of the character, because no one will be as great as Hugh Jackman at doing his version of Wolverine. And that's why some people are thinking Henry Cavill won't replace Hugh Jackman as Wolverine if Hugh Jackman doesn't want to continue on in the role, because they feel from what little they saw of him in Deadpool and Wolverine that his version might be too similar. And if they want to go a boldly different direction than what we've seen before with Hugh Jackman, then some people are speculating that it will actually be Dafne Keen, who played X-23 in Logan and in Deadpool and Wolverine, having her reprise the role, but, just kind of take on the mantle of Wolverine, which we've seen that was basically the problem with Phase 4, is the heroes passing on what they called the mantle to some younger female character, and that didn't work out for them. So I don't think this is the direction that they're going to go with it, but let's read on with what people are saying about it. The MCU is still on its quest for a new Wolverine, but fans already know who should play it. X-23 actor Dafne Keen, and I will use the word fan loosely. I think they might mean tourist. But fans have already zeroed down on who they want to be the MCU's Wolverine. Logan star Dafne Keen, who returns for Deadpool and Wolverine as Logan's clone Laura X-23, posts on social media accounts like X-Men updates are popping off as fans speak out in solidarity with the casting. And for the record, I don't even have a problem with Dafne Keen in the role. I think she did a good job as X-23 in Logan and in Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was nice to see her back in the role again as X-23 in Deadpool and Wolverine. But having her take over as Wolverine wouldn't really work. Maybe if Hugh Jackman didn't want to continue on and they didn't want to recast the part and they wanted to have X-23 in it, that's fine. You can have her in the movie itself. It wouldn't be Wolverine. They shouldn't call her Wolverine or try to treat her as if she's the new Wolverine. They should just treat her as X-23. And I think that would be a better suited than to have her try to basically replace a male character. And we've seen recently, there's been rumors going around that they're trying to get away from that approach because they don't want to have the impression that they're just trying to push political messaging, or at least that's according to some of these rumors. So that would just kind of get in the way of that if they're going to all of a sudden replace Hugh Jackman with a little girl. And like I said, I think it would actually be good if they did replace Hugh Jackman at some point. Like if Henry Cavill took on the role and then Dafne Keen was in it too, fine. I think everyone would be happy with that decision. But by trying to actually replace him, it just, I don't think would feel right. They're trying to say like there's some precedent in the comics that X-23 for a period of time did refer to herself as Wolverine when Wolverine wasn't around. But keep in mind, this is the time period when the comics were failing and they were just trying to throw things at the wall and see what stuck. And so I don't think that's really the type of storylines they should be trying to emulate when it comes to this, because when they start adapting those type of storylines in the MCU, that's when we saw things starting to fail. So I think they should try to get away from that. But like I said at the start, I think Henry Cavill would be a good choice to replace Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And I think it would be cool if you had Dafne Keen back as X-23. I want to see more of her in the MCU, and she did a good job in Deadpool and Wolverine. So let's continue on with that one. We don't need to try to make it look like we're just replacing men with female characters again, because that really hasn't worked out for them in the past. And I don't think they want to go down that road again, at least if they want to continue to make money. But let me know what you think about all this in the comment section below. What approach do you think they should do? Should Hugh Jackman continue on? Should Henry Cavill take over? Should it just be Dafne Keen as X-23? And if it is her, should she take on the name Wolverine, or if she should just be referred to as X-23 from that point on? And if you haven't already, make sure you click that subscribe button if you want to stay up to date with the latest entertainment news. And don't forget to click that like button and share the video because it helps out with the channel. Thank you.